If you're watching this video, your funds have probably been frozen by Stripe, and you're now looking for next steps and what you can do to get your money back and get your business up and going. So I'm really sorry to hear that this is the predicament that you're in. And I'm going to do my best to give you some tips and some best practices. First of all, to try to unfreeze your money and get your money back. And, most importantly, to get your business up and running. So, we get questions at direct payment, and we get a lot of inquiries from merchants and offer owners who come to us and say, I've been working with Stripe for 1 or 2 or 3 years. Things have been rolling really well. I get a couple of disputes and bam, I'm done. I can't process anymore. They've frozen my account. All I got was an email. I really don't know what's going on. So if you're in this situation, again, I really feel for you, because this is, a very trying time when you're running a business. This is the last thing you want to be thinking about. So let's kind of dive into this and see what you can do to make sure, first of all, that your business is back to accepting credit cards. And secondly, and the reason that you're on here is how to get your frozen funds back, or the funds that, have been suspended. Now, number one thing is, if you get an email from Stripe, saying that either A, they've suspended your account, or B, they're suspending payments to you and so forth, don't just kind of, roll over and let them do whatever they wish. Make sure that you try to fight it. When I say fight it, is at least send an email explaining, asking for more information, explaining what's going on with your business, and trying to get them to, reopen the account. You can send an email. You can also send registered mail. So to their legal department, you can, explain that, you don't understand, and your business is, not doing anything wrong. Of course, if you did something wrong, that gives you a lot less legs to stand on. But, typically we get these requests even from merchants who, get 3 or 4 disputes just randomly in a month. It happens often with Stripe. If you're kind of rolling and things are going well, and then all of a sudden you have a bad month, you get a couple of disputes, you're not doing anything wrong, it just happened. They decide to close the account or to suspend the account until further review. So make sure as soon as you get that message, you address it right away by email. And then, also, if you can, send registered mail to the legal department so you can try to get your account unfrozen and reopen. While you're doing that, very importantly, apply for a merchant account as soon as possible as a backup. So if you don't get your Stripe account back, or things happen, or whatever the case is, you should always have a backup to every process in your business. So if you haven't already gotten a merchant account as a backup, first things first is apply for a merchant account so you can get your business up and running as soon as possible. Now, very importantly is how to get your money back. So here are some steps and a couple of things that you can do to make sure that you get access to as much money as possible. So, even though you get another merchant account and you keep your operation running, if Stripe's holding, a lump sum of your money, it may be hard for you to scale or to continue buying traffic if Stripe doesn't release that money. So my goal here is to give you a couple of tips and a couple of tricks that you can use to try to get your money back from Stripe as quickly as possible. So if you can get your account reactivated, as I said before, try to send them an email or try to speak with somebody in order to get your account reactivated. By the way, it is very difficult to speak to somebody live in person at Stripe. It's usually done by email, but if you send the official letter, like I said, by registered mail, you're likely going to get a response quite quickly. So if you can get your account reactivated, go ahead and fight as hard as you can to get your account reactivated. And then once it's reactivated, ask for a release within a few days, meaning, let's say your account is activated today, wait a couple of days, and then send an email to support at Stripe asking, hi, can I get, my funds released? I haven't gotten paid since this day, or whatever the case is. Keep it as brief as possible, but ask for your money back. If your account is not reactivated, it's very difficult to get your money back quickly. So if you can get your account reactivated, don't just be like, oh, it's reactivated, let me just continue and they'll pay me when they pay me. No. As soon as the account's reactivated, like I said, wait a couple of days and ask for that release and try to capture as much money as possible. So if it happens again, or if they decide again to suspend your account or whatever, at least they're not holding on to that much money. If your account stays closed, if they say, listen, your account's going to stay closed, we're not going to entertain reopening, make a request for funds every 30 days and have data to support that request. What I mean by that, for example, is if they're holding 100K, for example, of your money, you should then be looking at your performance, meaning how many refunds, disputes are coming in, and then go back to them and say, hey, you're holding $100,000 in the last 30 days since my account was closed. We've only gotten $3,000 worth of refunds and disputes. So why are you holding all this money? The typical chargeback period is 6 months. So after 6 months, typically customers, there could be some exceptions, but can't charge back. So if you can say, they only $3,000 became disputes or refunds, please release, for example, 25K. So you can't go and say release all of it. They won't, because customers, like I said, have 6 months to charge back. So you want to make sure that you can get a little bit at various intervals. So if my example was, 100K and you had 3,000 of refunds or chargebacks, you can go back with, 25. I would start a little bit lower, because if your ask is too high, they will just shut the door. But if you come up with something reasonable and you give them some data, they may consider it and give you a little bit of money, especially if you obviously add to the sob story of, this is hurting your business, which it probably is, right? Any money that's being held is hurting your business. So make sure that you come up with something reasonable. You explain why you need the cash as quickly as possible and how it's hurting your business. Now, I'm going to warn you against this. Don't open another Stripe account to offset the one that you lost, because that's obviously not a good practice. And if Stripe does find out, they may match list you, which kind of blacklists you from getting a merchant account. So you definitely don't want to just say, my director or somebody else in the company is going to open another Stripe account. We're just going to start processing there. That is a recipe for disaster. So if you need to get up and running really, really quick, you might want to just, for example, go to PayPal. At least it's a different service. But like I said earlier, make sure you get a merchant account, because odds are if Stripe shut you down, PayPal is going to be quick to shut you down as well. So a merchant account with a provider who understands your type of business, for example, if you're drop shipping, supplements, and so forth, all these things are not good businesses to be running on services like Stripe or PayPal. These are services you should be running on your own merchant account, because merchant account providers like DirectPayNet understand risk and understand how to board these types of accounts and making sure that they're operating compliantly. So keep that in mind. Ask for your account to remain open for refunds. That's going to avoid chargebacks and disputes. So a lot of times when your account is shut down from Stripe, they just kind of shut down every functionality. But you could ask for an exception to say, hey, we offer a 60-day refund period. Is it possible for us to be able to refund our customers for at least the 60 days, which is what we've committed to? Most of the time they'll say yes, and they'll give you a refunds only option. And at least at that point, you're not paying chargeback fees or dispute fees and so forth. And last but not least, your best bet is really to get up and running as soon as possible with other solutions. Don't just, sulk about this and, try to fight it and call people and ask for advice and so forth. Your best bet is really, as you're trying to fight it to get them to reopen it, is to get another option. Even if Stripe reopens it, it's always best if you're in, a high risk industry or something, like I said, continuity or info products or drop shipping or whatever the case is, your best bet is really to have your own merchant account and maybe have Stripe as a backup. So get up and running as quickly as possible. Don't rely on third party or aggregators. It just doesn't work well for your business model. And last but not least, just keep trying with Stripe. You never know who you're going to fall on. It's a very large company, so you may find somebody more sympathetic to your case. So, obviously you don't, if you go back 2 or 3 times and the answer is really a hard no, you want to just move on. But after your first no, you may want to try to reposition your case and try something different. So I really wish you the best of luck. And I know this is, probably a very frustrating and exhausting time in your business, and nobody wants to be focusing on payments. So, make sure that you choose the right partners, like a merchant account provider like Direct PayNet, in order to be able to grow your business without the stressors of getting your account frozen or shut down. So I look forward to hearing any feedback that you have, and let me know if these tips have worked for you in getting your money back from Stripe. And as usual, if this is a useful episode for you, please like, share, and subscribe with all your friends. And I look forward to seeing you next week.